Hi, and I'm going over Chapter 5 test that was given out today on Tuesday, and just to make sure that you understand if you've gotten any of these wrong. All right, so it says, name the property of multiplication that is shown by the equation. Number 1 says the property, 17x times 1 equals 17x. And we didn't go over that much, so I called that as a bonus question. You didn't get it didn't count against you, but if you put down the identity property of multiplication or the identity property, you would have gotten 4 points. Number 2 on the test says use the distributive property to write 6 parentheses w plus 5 as an equivalent expression. So, okay, so let's multiply it out, and we get 6w, and then 6 times that second term is 30. So 6w plus 30. Distributive is double multiply. There you go. Number 3 says, name the property, and that's the law, that is shown by the equation 5 times 4 plus g, and that equals 5 times 4 plus 5 times g. Okay, isn't that what we just did here? And it is the distributive property. All right, and so we've been talking a lot about distributive property, and the property should have been pretty easy because it's an open book, open note, the spirals for the test. So make sure that information is correct. So let's move on to number 4, and number 4 says simplify. And so you're going to combine like terms, and we have this negative 3 times this parentheses 4x plus 5, and then we're going to go time negative 2 times negative 5x plus 8. All right, now this is loaded. So let's take care of this section here. So this is distributive, so I'm going to use distributive. So negative 3, the number takes a sign, times this term. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. And don't forget the variable, x. And negative 3 times a negative 15 is is it a negative 15? Oh, no. Negative 3 times positive 5 is a negative 15. And on this one here, we're going to look at this one, and we go, that's distributive 2. And so negative 2 times negative 5x is a positive 10x. And negative 2 times positive 8 is negative 16. And so now you're going to combine your like terms, and you're going to circle and solve. So circle those and connect those. And a negative 12x plus a 10x, so those are different signs. You're going to subtract them, and you're going to get 2x. And it's going to be negative because 12 takes that story. And then we can also combine all numbers. And negative 15 and a negative 16 is the same sign. So you're going to add them up, and you're going to get 31. And it's like negative. So box that in. And remember, a negative and negative would be like negative 15. So it would be like, I owe my mom $15 already, and I just borrowed another $16. So now I owe my mom $31. So try to remember those tips. All right, and let's go on to another here. And number 5, it is a sequence one, and they want you to identify the next terms in the arithmetic sequence: 4.2, 4.8, 5.4, 6.0. And they don't ask you for the rule, but I want you to. I asked you to, and the rule is what is the pattern between these two numbers? And if you look at it, you're adding 0.6. You're adding 0.6. So the rule is that. So the next 3 would be 6.6, 7.2, and 7.8. Okay, hope that was pretty easy. And number 6 is find the GCF, and that's the greatest common factor of 6A, B, and 3A. And so that is what's common to both of these terms. Well, I can pull a factor of 2 out of both of them because they both have 6 and 3. No, they don't. Let's start that again. I can pull a factor of 3 out of both of those because 3 is a factor of 3 and 3 is also a factor of 6. And they both have in common A's here. So the GCF is 3A. And a lot of you guys went on and said, okay, you factored it out, so you divided 6AB divided by 3, and you're left with 2B, and 3A divided by 3A is 1, a positive 1. And you didn't need to do that. The answer is what's the greatest common factor is just 3A. And let's go on to another screen to do number 7 because it is quite complicated. And it says to add. And remember, we're looking at our signs always. And you could be using your notes in your graphic organizer on your spiral, reference spiral. So you should have these in your notes if you forgot, because this is a long time ago. Anyways, we have this parentheses plus this parentheses. And order of operation says, can we do anything inside the parentheses? Well, we can't do anything in that parentheses. Negative 7x plus 1. Those are unlike terms, so you can't combine them. And you can't do anything else. So we're going to combine the parentheses. We're going to march it over, line up our like terms, and now we're going to use our negative rules. So x's go with x's, and here we have different signs, so you subtract them, and you bring, and the 7 takes it, and these are different signs, so you subtract them, and you get a 10, and it is negative 10 because the 11 takes a sign. And remember the rules, we've gone over those many times. If you need to, there's a video on the negative rules. All right, and let's see if we can squeeze number 8 in here. And it says subtract. It doesn't really matter. 11x, really you're combining like terms. 9 and minus negative 4x minus 6. And you can remember from our review yesterday, or maybe even our notes, this here says you're going to switch all signs over here. So this would be, I can't do anything in this first one. I'm going to look at the second one here, and I'm going to switch the sign. So negative 4x becomes a positive 4x, and a negative 6 becomes a 6. Now you're going to march it over here, and you're going to line up your like terms. And here we go. And so positive and positive, you add them up, and you get 15x, and it is positive. You don't really need it. And this one here, different signs, so you subtract, and the 9 is larger digits, so it takes the sign of the larger. Oops. And that is 15x minus 3. And I'll write that over again because it's kind of sloppy. All right. There. Hope that helps. Flipping the page, and I said you could solve it anyway. And it says Caroline bought 5 bracelets, so she has 5 bracelets. Pull out the math. How do you spell bracelets? Spelling is not wonderful. And find the total cost of the bracelets if each bracelet cost, and it cost $3.10. All right, some of you girls and boys did not put labels on it. But when you're dealing with money, I really expect them to be labeled, and especially a word problem always has labels. And so I said you don't have to justify your answer by using the distributive property. You could do it any way you want to. I would just simply, the most of you did, $3.10 times 5, and you multiplied that out, and you got 5, 15, and move it over twice. So the answer is $15.50. And some of you didn't put in the labels, but you really need to do that. All right, so it is $15.50 for 5 bracelets. And let's see if I can get number 10 in here. Write the expression 7b minus 3 times b minus 1. And one of the best comments that were made today was Dalen said that, can I change the b into a different variable? And yes, you can. So we're going to go on to another screen, and we're going to change the variable. It doesn't change anything. But he said that the b looks like 6. And so we're going to change it to 7x minus 3 times x minus 1. And they want it in simplest form, so you have to get rid of parentheses and combine like terms. So if you look at anything, I can't do anything with 7x, but I can do this, and this is the distributive property, and you girls and boys are fantastic about finding that. So negative 3 times x, so you remember the coefficient of x is 1. So negative 3 times 1x is negative 3x. And circle and solve, so double multiply. Negative 3 times negative 1 is a positive 3. And bring down the rest of the story. So now we can combine these two. You always look at what you can combine. And 7x minus 3x is 4x plus 3. And you have no more like terms, so you are done. You need to know when to stop also. And number 11 says evaluate. Just solve it. 3 times 9 minus 16. And this is really order of operations. You could do distributive too. It's the same thing. But I would do it here. 9 minus 16, they're different signs. So I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to get a 7. But it would be negative 7. And it's 3. So the answer is negative 21. And you could also do it distributive. 3 times 9 is 27 minus 3 times 16. And you'd still get that, negative 21. Either way works. Number 12, evaluate the expression. Let's change the variable again. So it's 4x minus, let's not change the expression because the variable, because you're going to have some substituting. 4b, but I don't like a b either, minus 6d. And when b equals 7 and d equals 3. All right, and in this case, you're going to use the all-important substitution. 4, and the operation is multiplication, and this funky number is a 7 times 7 minus 6 times 3. Okay, so multiplication comes first. So we go 4 times 7 is 28. And negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. And you have to combine numbers. Most of you stopped here. Not a good thing. The answer is 10. You need to know you have to combine numbers especially all the time. All right, and moving forward slide, we're going to be doing number 13 and evaluate the expression 8b divided by a, and b equals 8, a equals 2. Remember, all important substitute in algebra is so important, and this is 8 times 8, because b equals 8, and divided by a, which is 2. And so we're going to take care of the numerator first. So circle and solve. 8 times 8 is 64. Can't do anything with the denominator, so just bring it on down. And now you can stop, drop, divide, or use mental math. 2 goes into 64 32 times. Box that in. And number 14 was Justin, a math problem, a word problem. Justin sent 24 text on Monday, 48 on Tuesday, 36 on Wednesday, and 22 on Thursday. And it says to use mental math, but I said anything you want to, as long as you show me the way. And most of you kids just added it up, and you got 130 text. All word problems should be labeled. Box that in. And not least, the last one was 15. And it says to, you had this expression, negative 3x plus 8 minus x plus 4 minus 2y. Kind of nasty, but they wanted you to ask what the constants were, so list the constants here, the coefficients, whoops, kind of messy, and the monomials. And so this is kind of a vocabulary check, and it's using these words. The constants are, and the coefficients are both numbers only, but the constants are numbers that stand alone. So like positive 8 or just 8 and positive 4. And you had to have all of these, both of those in. The coefficients are the number part of the variable. So we'd have negative 3 here. We also have negative 1. A lot of you, if you made a mistake, you forgot the coefficient negative 1. And you also have negative 2. So you're just listing them separated by parentheses. And monomials, most of you knew it because it was an open reference spiral test and vocabulary was part of it. Monomials are terms. So it is negative 3x. You're just taking this expression, dropping it into monomials or terms. And so we could have positive 8 or not, negative x, positive 4, and negative 2y. I didn't put like terms in here, but you could have done that also. Anyways, I hope this helps. If you're going to take a retest, it will be on Thursday during tutorial. Thank you. Bye-bye.